Paid parking is found everywhere around Canberra, but late last year it was also introduced to the hospitals by the government. Whether you're a long stay patient, emergency patient, or one of your loved ones is seriously ill, none of this matters, you still have to pay. People receiving the hospital services either have to pay up or risk getting a ticket, which only adds more stress to a highly stressful time. This is Jenny Williams. She's a clinical nurse consultant out at the Canberra Hospital and is highly against the use of paid parking in the hospital.
The introduction of paid parking around the hospitals has caused a lot of anxiety and grief to some of the parents of the babies who are in special care nurseries, intensive care nurseries. Not only do they have the added worry of their child, whether or not they'll survive, or prolonged outcome is poor, they also have the worry of the financial burden of the car parking now. So these parents worried about their children, try to find car parks. Some of them financially can't afford it and are now not getting any form of exemption where these car parks are concerned. This doesn't only apply to the babies and the parents of the children in these situations. It applies to patients who are coming in for their oncology treatment. It applies to people who are coming into outpatients. I know that in Melbourne and Sydney they've had paid parking for a long time, but that's not here. And I just don't think that we need to subject these people to any more inconvenience than what they're already subjected to.
We are now speaking to Kirsten Maloney, a journalist who has recently given birth to twins out at the Canberra Hospital and has been highly affected by the role paid parking has played.
Well, last October I had twins. They were born at 30 weeks, so they were 10 weeks early. Came as a bit of a surprise to both of us. So we had to go to Canberra Hospital to have them because the girls needed to be in intensive care. So they were in intensive care at Canberra Hospital for 4 weeks, and then we were moved to Calvary, to the special care nursery there, and they were there until they were just over 3 months old before they came home. So I suppose our routine was that I'd get up in the morning and go into the hospital and look after them in any way that I was allowed to or that I could, and as a result we were parking there every day, all day. And it wasn't just me, I'd get up and go in the morning, and then my husband would come after work in the afternoon in his car and he would park, and my mother and father, who were there to support us and to see the girls, would come during the day and park. So between all of us there were sometimes up to 4 cars parked in the car park, spending our money on hospital parking. But I guess the thing that really upset us was that we probably spent as a family more than $1,000 on parking in that 3 months that we were looking after our babies. And I mean, we had to be at the hospital. We wanted to be there to look after them. I had to be there to breastfeed them. We were going in at all hours of the night, and whenever we were there almost we had to pay for parking because they were charging until 9 o'clock at night. You know, I'm not the only one. There were so many mothers with babies in hospital, so many families going through exactly the same thing, and just because they weren't low income earners with healthcare cards, they weren't entitled to any sort of concessions. And I guess the government said that they introduced pay parking to stop public servants parking in the hospital car park. But of course what we got was paid parking from sort of 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, every day of the week, 7 days a week. And that is not about stopping public servants parking in hospital car parks, when what it was supposed to be about was keeping the car parks for the people who really needed them. Well, it's not really, is it? Because the people who really need them are parking there now, but we're paying through the nose for the privilege. So really, I think there needs to be some sort of second look at this whole policy, because it's not working. There are people there who are paying money, parents of children, cancer patients, people in intensive care, people who are dying their families go every day to support them and they have to pay for parking. So it's time to have a look at the concessions and to work out what can be done to help people in similar situations that we were in, to give some relief at a time of great stress.
This is Natalie Bannon, an ANU student whose grandmother has recently received a parking ticket out at the Canberra hospital.
Okay, well, recently my grandmother found a lump under her arm, and she thought that it was a reoccurrence of her breast cancer, which occurred a while ago. When she went to the hospital, she was obviously very stressed about it, as I could tell before she went, and she parked in the Canberra hospital parking, and had to rush off to this appointment, which she was actually late for. After she had her appointment, she got back to her car and found that there was a ticket on the dashboard because her appointment obviously went over time and she got a parking ticket. And so she was pretty stressed about that as well. And it's just amazing how the government likes to pull money out of people in that situation when they're already stressed enough.
As you can see, paid parking at hospitals causes a lot of unnecessary grief and inconvenience for those seeking the hospital services. Until the government removes paid parking at the hospital, or at least provides reasonable compensation or concession for eligible applicants, these problems will remain a part of hospital life.